From a market standpoint, it is elections. That's the only thing which matters. Markets already have seen a run-up of 5% plus in the run-up to the election. This was exactly what markets saw in 2014. After 2014, the India mandate changed. This time, the narrative may be not as powerful as what it was when Prime Minister Modi came to power for the first time. But tomorrow is the big day. What should we expect? Markets, the Chinese whispers of about what could be the cabinet formation, who's going to be the next finance minister, who's going to be the next defense minister, well, that has started. So let me get you all the so-called khabar and all the gossip from Raisina Hill, and a very special guest, Rahul Shivshankar, Editor-in-Chief of Times Now, joins us now. Rahul, good morning. Thank you for joining us. You know, Rahul, frankly, I'm feeling rather guilty that we had to drag you early in the morning. I know you have a long night tonight and a long day tomorrow. So first, please accept my sincere apologies. I never meant to drag you up, but compulsions are at play.
Well, you've got me out to gossip, as you said. I don't quite do that, but I'll try. I won't let your viewers down this morning.
Okay, so from a market standpoint, you know, Rahul, I'm just simply addressing the market aspect here. The view is that NDA 2 will come to power, but everyone is curious to understand that how will NDA 2 will be different from NDA 1. They enjoyed full majority. They had the majority of both the houses, and they could have taken some tough decisions. So how will the positioning be different now?
Look, I think some of the demons that perhaps Mr. Modi was wrestling with now, if this verdict is as big as some of the exit polls have suggested, I think those demons will have been wrestled to the ground by Mr. Modi, and I don't think he needs to prove anything. What really happened with NDA 1 was that the opposition came up with this slogan. One particular politician came up with a slogan which was basically "Soot Boot Ki Sarkar." And that really put this government on the defensive, because it was seen to be a government that was favoring corporates. Even the entire attack around the Rafale deal, or even the attack around GST or demo, seemed to suggest that the common man was always being targeted at the expense of some, you know, big business houses, or perhaps to favor a particular type of configuration which was elitist. Now, that particular slogan affected this government gravely, and I think that some of its more reformist steps, like, you know, labor reforms, deep reforms going into the agrarian sector, were put on the back burner. Divestment slowed. You know that better than I do. I think all those demons will be now slayed. If Mr. Modi comes back with a resounding and thumping majority, I think he will then begin to focus on some of what would be less populist, but I think more interventionist measures. So that's really where I think the thrust is going to be, boosting the rural economy. And I think that, and using reformist steps to do so. So, you know, tackling the APMCs, tackling the supply side, that's what's going to change.
Right. Okay, Rahul, Nikhil said that we've asked you to, or rather called you to gossip, so let's gossip. What's the chatter in New Delhi about what Modi's cabinet could look like if indeed the exit polls do come out to be a reality tomorrow? Who do you think would be at the helm of the finance ministry, the defense ministry? Because, you know, these are departments which the markets look out for very keenly.
You're absolutely right. I'm being told that the top 4 portfolios might see some reshuffling. Now, is it going to be people who are going to be brought from outside? We don't know. But remember, we're all assuming that the exit polls are right. Now, if the exit polls are not sort of spot on, and you have a situation like perhaps what Times Now has predicted, where the BJP ends up about 15 short of the halfway mark on its own, and is dependent on the allies to take it forward beyond perhaps the 272 mark, then different factors come into play. So it depends on if the BJP itself comes in with a majority, and if it does, I think that frees up the Prime Minister to take some more bold positions. I'm being told that the Home Ministry is going to definitely see a change. The Foreign Ministry is going to definitely see a change, because Sushma Swaraj has not been keeping too well. There is also, of course, talk about the Finance Ministry's portfolio, prompted really more by the health concerns surrounding the Finance Minister. But at the end of the day, I think that will send out a message to the markets that somewhere along the line, continuity is not paramount for Mr. Modi. I think Mr. Modi is a careful individual. He doesn't take rash decisions. I think Mr. Jaitley has proven himself to be a very effective implementer of everything that has been conceived by the Prime Minister's office and the Prime Minister. Remember, many people also say that the government really runs on signals and indications that come from the Prime Minister's office, and some of the ministers come in only as implementers. So I don't think that rubric is going to change that much. There have been, of course, individuals who have stepped in for the Finance Minister when he has not been, when he's been indisposed, when he's gone for treatment abroad. Piyush Goyal, some people said, was doing a good job. Some people said that, he had a slightly different approach, more cut and dry approach. He dealt with the bureaucracy in a slightly different way. And therefore, all these contentions will come into play. But certainly the top 4 portfolios we're expecting are going to be sort of reshuffled in some capacity. And that's what we have to look out for. But that is all contingent upon the nature of the mandate that the BJP can secure. If it gets more than 300 on its own, then you will see perhaps a more emboldened Prime Minister. I wouldn't like to use the word adventurous because it sends out the wrong message to the markets and to observers. But I think you'll see a little more risk-taking by the Prime Minister in that department.
Again, if you go by the exit poll verdict and your number of times now, there definitely has been a vote of endorsement for some of the social schemes what the NDA 1 has done, especially the gas cylinder scheme. Are we in for more of the social schemes, slightly more innovation, but clearly it could be aimed at rebooting the rural stress? This government has drawn a lot of criticism for not taking interest of the farmer. Farmer suicides, the favorite talking point for any opposition party. It's out in the open and numbers don't look all that,
yes.
Impressive.
Well, there are two things here. Now, every decision that is taken on extending schemes, the spread of those schemes is contingent on data. We haven't really seen data. And that's one thing that we mustn't forget, Nikunj. Employment data still under wraps. The data which is in regards to the loans that were parceled out under the Mudra scheme under wraps. We also don't know exact numbers on farmer suicides because the NCRB data is also under wraps. So, there are some big holes to fill data-wise. Once you have that sorted out, and we're expecting those reports in the next few months or perhaps even weeks, I think we'll have a clearer understanding of exactly what needs to be done to address if there is a lag between the data and expectations. But I really want to stress here that what the Prime Minister has done in NDA 1 through his targeted schemes is to change what has traditionally been a kind of apathy between, or a disconnect between government and the people. This is the first government through the schemes which are very targeted to individuals using the JAM Trinity that has actually touched the people and changed their lives. And I think that that is spectacularly something that is going to continue. There has also been talk, and if you want to really talk about gossip, well, a minister who's very influential was speaking to me about a week back, and he says, we haven't really seen the rollout of PM Kisan. If Nyay was sort of pegging 72,000 rupees for the indigent, then this particular scheme still has a huge buffer. Because the numbers, if you really do the maths on this particular scheme, and he gave me the whole play out, and obviously it's too many details, but he said there's huge amount of elbow room to expand the focus of PM Kisan. So expect something like that. We're this 6,000 to 12,000 cap, etc. Expect that to phenomenally increase. Now, what that means for perhaps taxation, what that means for raising resources, you can only guess at. But if you really do the maths closely on PM Kisan, you see there's a lot of elbow room built in, and therefore the Prime Minister is very conservative in the budget, which was read out by Piyush Goyal, very conservative in the number. And many people said, but it translates to 18 rupees a day. What's the big deal? Well, he's left himself a lot of cushion and expect that to go up. So targeted spending is going to go up. But this government doesn't believe in the handout culture that was sort of primed by the Congress party. It has expanded, it has fueled and funded some of those schemes, but I think the architecture of these schemes will now change under this regime. You're also going to see an expansion in the manner in which infrastructure is going to be sort of targeted at bringing, the cycle of business closer to delivery. And I think that's going to be the next big emphasis.
And
Rahul.
they say women gossip. Got you guys. But yeah, Aman, you had a question.
That's right. Rahul, forgive us, we're a, business channel, so we tend to focus quite a bit on the overall economic sphere as well. And, some experts that we've been speaking to tend to say that we have a lot of deep-rooted economic challenges as well that await the new government, be it on the job front, the budget deficit, the overall trade front as well. Are we likely to see any sort of very decisive steps being taken in this direction?
Yeah, I think, that's a very, very valid question. And I said it's contingent upon data. Look, we're making these sort of educated guesses because, CMIE or the leaked report from the government, from the NSSO, seem to suggest that there was lag. There has been lag earlier too, and we seem to forget that. Now, the reason it became so controversial and so much of a talking point was because some people said, and this is of course proven to be fake news, that the Prime Minister is actually promising 2 crore jobs a year. So that became sort of the de facto benchmark. And it took a while for this government to sort of say, hey, we never made that promise. But nonetheless, there was a promise to double the jobs and to, at some level, create what is now an abandoned slogan called Achhe Din. Now, I think that because very early on in the tenure of the NDA, the opposition came up with that suit boot sarkar. It was a pun really on the suit that Narendra Modi wore and this whole business of the cozy relationship between the government and big business. Some people loosely call it crony capitalism. All of that sort of, came up there and really pushed back this government, put it on the defensive, and I think they lost their focus. So even when GST was spun out, it was like this guilty, indulgence that, oh my God, now we put this out there, we're going to tell the people it's going to be a little turbulent, but it's for the best and for the better of India. So they didn't really even tinker with the SABs, because many people have then said, oh, now again, you're sort of trying to, give sops to business, big business, and this and that. And I think that's all going to change. And you're going to actually see deep-seated reforms that have been put back and pushed back because of the politics. And remember also, the Prime Minister has been pushing, and I think that in 2020, the Rajya Sabha, they're going to have the numbers by the end of next year, by the end of this year, beginning of next, and you're going to see some of those big reforms, those big ticket reforms, which the opposition was just opposing for the sake of opposition, they're going to go through. And those really will hold the key to the next 5 years. That's what I believe. So we're all looking at the Rajya Sabha very closely now. If this mandate is going to be the way some exit polls are projected, more on the sort of side of 330 plus, well, all bets are off. And I can tell you that Modi is a man who I've spoken with on about 4 or 5 occasions, and he's made it very clear that his agenda is to achieve the 75 targets that he set for himself for the 75th anniversary. And if you can see, none of them have to do with Article 370 or the Ram Mandir or anything that is going to throw the India growth story off track. They're very focused on improving the lot of people, and that can only happen if there are going to be some substantial reforms. But he's also conservative at heart when it comes to economic policy, so he's not going to do it at the cost of the common man and the poor.
All right, Rahul, really appreciate your time, and good luck for tomorrow. It's a big night for all of us, and tomorrow, of course, it's a big day for all of us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, about this time, we'll have some trends. Thank you so much. Thank you.